There was a time when business leaders believed that better data would eliminate uncertainty. With enough analytics, enough forecasting models, and enough historical patterns, visibility would improve and surprises would shrink. That assumption no longer holds. Today, many companies have more data than ever, and yet less clarity about what comes next. As a result, businesses are learning to operate with less visibility, and that shift is transforming strategy across industries. The challenge isn't a lack of information, it's that the information changes too quickly. Consumer behavior can pivot in a single quarter. Enterprise clients can delay large contracts with little warning. Supply chains can tighten due to geopolitical events thousands of miles away. Interest rate expectations shift markets overnight. In this environment, even the most advanced forecasting tools struggle to produce long-term certainty. Companies are realizing that perfect visibility is unrealistic. Instead of trying to predict everything, they are redesigning how they operate under conditions of limited foresight. One of the biggest changes is in planning cycles. Traditional corporate strategy often relied on annual plans built around relatively stable assumptions. Today, many organizations are shortening those cycles. Rolling forecasts, quarterly scenario updates, and real-time data dashboards have replaced rigid yearly commitments. Leaders no longer assume that January projections will hold through December. Plans are treated as living documents. Capital allocation reflects this reduced visibility. Rather than committing massive resources upfront to long-term initiatives, businesses are breaking investments into stages. They test demand before scaling. They structure expansion so that it can pause if conditions shift. This staged approach protects companies from overcommitting in uncertain environments. It may slightly slow growth during strong periods, but it prevents major damage during downturns. Demand unpredictability is a central driver of this shift. In recent years, spending patterns have become more volatile. Consumers react quickly to changes in inflation, employment sentiment, and interest rates. Enterprise buyers renegotiate budgets or delay projects with little notice. As a result, revenue forecasting feels less reliable than it once did. Companies are adjusting by building more variable cost structures. They rely more on flexible staffing models, cloud infrastructure, and modular production systems that can expand or contract as needed. Operating with less visibility requires adaptability. Inventory management offers another example. During periods of stable demand, lean systems minimized waste. But when visibility shrinks, businesses often increase buffer inventory for critical components. They accept slightly higher carrying costs in exchange for operational continuity. The same logic applies to supplier relationships. Instead of depending on a single vendor for key inputs, companies diversify. Redundancy may reduce short-term efficiency, but it reduces vulnerability when unexpected disruptions occur. Financial strategy has also evolved. Companies are maintaining stronger liquidity positions and managing debt more conservatively. With less visibility into future cash flows, preserving flexibility becomes essential. Balance sheet strength acts as a cushion when forecasts prove wrong. Technology plays a dual role in this new environment. On one hand, rapid technological change contributes to uncertainty. Artificial intelligence and automation are reshaping industries quickly, making long-term competitive positioning harder to predict. On the other hand, technology provides tools to respond faster. Real-time analytics, predictive modeling, and automation allow companies to adjust operations quickly when new data emerges. The goal is not to eliminate uncertainty, but to shorten reaction time. Investor behavior reinforces the need for disciplined execution. Markets have become less tolerant of missed expectations. Companies that overestimate visibility and then revise guidance face sharp reactions. As a result, executives are more cautious in public forecasts. They communicate ranges instead of precise targets. They emphasize resilience and adaptability over aggressive projections. Internally, this changes decision-making culture. Leaders encourage contingency planning. Teams are asked to prepare backup options. Risk discussions include what could break rather than assuming steady progress. Operating with less visibility also affects hiring decisions. Companies are more careful about expanding fixed labor costs unless demand clarity improves. Automation investments are often prioritized because they provide scalability without long-term payroll commitments. This doesn't mean companies are retreating, it means they are aligning growth with flexibility. Geopolitical dynamics further reduce visibility. Trade policies, regulatory shifts, and international tensions can influence supply chains and market access rapidly. Businesses factor political risk into expansion strategies more carefully than before. Energy infrastructure and regulatory frameworks add another layer of uncertainty. Companies dependent on high energy consumption must consider potential constraints or policy changes that could affect operating costs. The result is a business landscape where long-term certainty is harder to achieve. Yet companies are adapting. Instead of demanding perfect forecasts, they design systems that function under ambiguity. They create modular business units. They diversify revenue streams. They strengthen communication channels between departments to share real-time insights. Culture becomes critical. Organizations that can pivot quickly, test ideas rapidly, and make decentralized decisions handle low visibility better than rigid hierarchies. Leadership style evolves as well. Transparency about uncertainty builds trust internally. Employees understand that plans may shift, and flexibility becomes part of performance expectations. Importantly, operating with less visibility does not mean abandoning ambition. It means redefining how ambition is pursued. Companies still innovate, they still expand into new markets, but they structure those moves carefully. Pilot programs precede large rollouts, partnerships reduce capital exposure, contracts include flexibility clauses, optionality becomes a strategic asset. The most successful businesses in this environment are not those with perfect foresight. They are those that combine discipline with agility. They manage costs carefully while preserving room to maneuver. They invest in technology that improves responsiveness. They maintain financial strength to weather surprises. In many ways, operating with less visibility forces maturity. It discourages overconfidence. It rewards preparation. It emphasizes resilience over optimism. The era of assuming clear horizons has passed. Today's leaders understand that fog is part of the landscape, and rather than waiting for perfect clarity, businesses are learning to move forward anyway, cautiously, flexibly, and strategically. Because in modern markets, visibility may be limited, but adaptability can still create advantage.